Guys, I think John has a presentation and it's super short. It's not going to be anything. I'm going to sit down today, and then I'm going to walk around a little later. It's not going to be anything that you haven't heard me say. If you've heard me speak, great. If you haven't, you're kind of in for a treat. They make it a big deal. It's not a big deal. I got several friends in this room. Rosita's here, Ali is here, Jody's in the back. And if you're here, right, you want to know everybody in this room. In the spirit of networking, don't let this opportunity pass you by. And I know there's this thought in your head, well, we're all unemployed. How are we going to help each other? But you don't know who you know, and you don't know who they know. So this is not the time to be a snob, right? You're here because you want to expand your network. And because you don't know who I know and I don't know who you know, right? You should know everybody at your table. That's why you're sitting with them. So make sure before you leave here that you get to know some people that you didn't know when you walked in this room, and share your information. And if you're not open to that, you are in the wrong place. This is not the place that I would recommend for you, because here we're about relationships, we're about collaboration, and we're about connectivity. So that was free, and that's not what they're paying me for. So John, I'm ready when you are. Skip that one. Yeah, skip that one. Okay. And then you're going to have to click a couple of times for all my little things to come up, because I made it, extra special. Like me. Keep going. We're going, you got about 7 more times. There you go. Or 12 or something. But either way, we're getting to the space where we're supposed to be. Yep, there we go. Okay. So a couple of things. I had a conversation with Pete and Foster, like I always do. And I can't tell if you can hear me real good or it's just okay, because typically this would be, okay, we're good. This would be clipped on. But here are a couple of things that I need you to understand. And I'm going to go out of order just a little bit, because last night in talking to Pete and Foster, we wanted to make sure that there were some things that you guys really did understand. So you'll see the article that I put together for Pete and Foster before. You'll see what I have posted on LinkedIn on the screen. And it's a very short presentation because it's not rocket science. And that's the short and skinny. And I'm saying that as a HR, whatever you want to say, executive guru, expert, whatever title that people want to give you when you've done something for a long time and they think you know, have magic powers that they don't have, right? So that said, timing is everything. So I'm going to step a little bit out of order, right? Timing is everything. And just for contextual basis, and Pete and Foster know they have the free will to chime in and to comment. So John, if they feel like they have something they need to add, get them a mic, right? And for everybody in this room, if you have a question about something that I am saying, raise your hand, we'll come to you, we'll let you speak, because we want to get these questions in context, and the timing is even important for that, because you might be asking me something that everybody in the room can benefit from. So, all right, we should be good there. So again, timing is everything, guys. And I'm starting with step 4 first, instead of knowing your worth, because salary negotiation occurs when you have an offer, right? I just had a conversation with Ali, and we were talking about you need to have 5 companies that you're targeting, and you need to be chasing those. And hopefully you're trying to get those 5 roles and recruiters in the same place at the same time so that you get multiple offers. Once you have an offer, which usually occurs with a verbal phone call from a company, then we start the salary negotiation piece. Before you ever get to that space, you have to do step 1, which is know what you're worth. If you're in the market for a job and you don't know what a position, somebody that's been in a position as long as you have with your experience and skills in your industry, right, what it pays, you don't need to start this conversation about salary negotiation, because you need to show up, 1, knowing your worth, 2, being very confident in the information that you've gathered, and then sharing your value proposition with the organization, which is step 3. And that's really the way that it works. So just to ground us in the discussion, every company has a strategy for salaries. They either meet the market, they either lead the market, they either lag the market, okay? I come from a pharmaceutical manufacturing background. I've done it here. I've done it in Ireland. I've done it in the UK. I've done it in Canada. In my opinion, it's humble, in my humble opinion, right? We'll add a little Jay-Z there, humbly. Nobody pays like pharma. For Nigeal to leave the pharmaceutical arena and go and work for, and nothing against Napa Auto Parts, right? But I'm gonna go work for Napa Auto Parts as their vice president of HR or their chief people officer. They are not gonna pay me what pharma paid, right? So ground yourself in getting the knowledge that you need about the industry that you're targeting and their salary strategy. This is where the people sitting next to you become really beneficial, the Fosters, the Petes, the Trevors, all these folks, because then you can ask your friends, do we know anybody over there? Tell me about the culture. Tell me about the org structure. Tell me about the region that I might manage. Is it US only? Is it a global role, right? Things that we want to know these days. Can I work from home, right? Because all of those things change and dictate and have some bearing on what the salary is. So when I tell you to know your worth, I'm saying study your targets, know what you bring to the table, know the value of your skill set in your industry, in the industries that you're targeting, as well as the ones that you've come from. There is nothing like going on LinkedIn, which provides a ton of information, guys, and looking at multiple jobs that you do not want just to see what the salary ranges are. Super important before we start having conversations on what we'll work for. There are some jobs, and I had this conversation with Foster last night, and I endeavor to be transparent, right? And maybe sometimes people will say, well, you talk too much, and that could be true also, right? But the reality is there are some jobs that I would do for $30,000 less and some that I won't. And the things that change those for Nigeal is that, can I do it from my house, right? Do I have to go in? You said how many days, right? Because you know in Europe, they own 32 hours a week. We still own 40 hours a week. So in reality, and you want me to drive, so I have to get up, I've got to put clothes on, now I have to look presentable on the camera, I got to get this makeup on and all this other stuff, right? I don't have lashes today, but I need some, and I would put them on if I was gonna be on a Zoom, right? I'm doing all of these things, but if you say that I can do this very same job from my house and I'll only have to travel, perhaps it changes the rate that I might do it for, right? So we need to be cognizant of the things that go into the space of knowing your value, and we need to be honest about what those things are. The other thing that I didn't put in this presentation in hindsight, and you'll forgive me because I'm a Bible baby. I'm a second and fourth Sunday church. I'm a Wednesday night Bible study church. I'm from a backwoods part of Mississippi where people boil water for a bath and then you bathed on the porch in front of everybody. And you just want to be the first person in the water. You just didn't want to be the third person taking a bath, right? Okay. So I'm from that place. So you understand when I tell you that be anxious for nothing. The Bible tells you that. I get that your position might be dire, your severance might be running out, but it is not a reason to go out and accept any job. Right now, you might have to do a job. I went to the job fair out at Lowe's at Rangers, and I took a part-time job, something we call them, we have a big word for it now, fractional. We took a fractional job, right? We took a contract job, right? We did that to bridge the gap, but we're not gonna be so desperate that we're going to accept any job, any offer, and we know in 3 months' time, we'll be back in this room asking for help from our friends because we want to land and we want to find the right fit. So I said all that to get you ready for what I'm going to tell you right here, right? And I have my little cheat sheet on my cell phone. I promise I'm not going to text anybody or talk to anybody, but you guys. So when I say know your worth, when I tell you to do your research, respectfully, I need you to really put your energy into that. If you have any type of transitional assistance, LHH, which I think are like the Cadillac of transition separation, use every resource that they have. There are websites like Crunchbase that you can, Crunchbase, Amazon, sneak into,
look to kind of see what a company's financials look like. You can kind of get an idea of how they pay because you can see their bonus because it's in their 10K filings. You can see what they paid out. You can kind of glean information about the industry that you're targeting. And then where you're talking to the recruiters and they call you, because we're going to do this little, I'm probably going to get Ali or Rosita or somebody to help me that I know, right? We're going to do this pretend thing with a phone call where I teach you how not to tell me your number, what you will work for. The whole point of a negotiation, the only thing that we want to do with a recruiter when they first call us is find out if we're interested in the opportunity. We do not want to start any conversation in this world talking about the money. And I don't care if you're buying a house, a car, or whatever you're doing, you don't have enough information to start having that conversation. If you were going to look at a house or something, you would be saying, what's the price range? I have a range. So I'd like you to start thinking about your salary. I'd like for you to start thinking about your salary from a range perspective. What is the range that I will actually do this job for? So I'll call Rosita. I'm going to pick on her because I can see her. Come on, Rosita. You didn't know you were going to be part of this presentation, right? Because it's going to make it real. It's going to make it real. And if I don't make it real, you won't get it and you'll leave here and you do it wrong. And then Pete will come and get me and tell me that we got to talk about this again, right? So I'm going to say the phone rings and ring, ring, ring. Did I say hello? Hello. Okay. Hi, Rosita. I'm Nigeal Fisher with, Motion Matrix, somebody that's in this room, Thomas Edwards Group. And I have a role right now, right, for, I don't know, an IT person. And I got your name from Foster Williams. And I need to know, can you do this job for $45 an hour? What you gonna say back?
It depends.
Okay, on what?
Can I get a job description?
Yes. You know what? I didn't even think about that. Let me get your email and send that to you. But when I get it to you, can you do it for $45?
I couldn't answer that right now.
Okay. That's perfect. That's perfect. That's exactly what you want to be doing. You want to be saying, okay, my phone just rang, lady, because she's looking at me like I'm crazy, because I am, right? But I'm trying to shortlist candidates real fast for a job that somebody called me and told me that's super hot, right? And put all these names together, people that'll do it for $45. Ask more questions, right? Know your worth. Understand that $45 might be the rate you could hit. It might be the rate that she would do it for, but she doesn't know that until she gets more information. So your first goal is to ask more questions, is to know your value, be confident when you say, I'd love to talk to you about it, but can you send me that job description, right? Because I want to make an informed decision, right? And it's okay for you to ask them for that. And they're not offended by you asking them for that. It's just that about 5% of people do. When they come back to you, and they start to say things like, oh, well, this is the salary, so can you tell me what your salary is? Open to negotiation is an answer. I'm open to negotiate. That's an answer. It's a very intelligent answer. It's not offensive, right? It's not aggressive. If I ask you on LinkedIn, you see a post, you like the job, and they've probably posted a salary range on there. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. And they say, what are your salary requirements? 0 is a whole number. I don't know enough. 0. If it requires only numbers, 0. If it'll take a word, open is the answer. It's the only answer that you have. You don't know enough, right? So to quote you a number that I would do a job for prematurely without having met you, met the team, right? Seen the org structure, understand, am I going to work at my house? Am I going to work at your house, right? Am I going to travel a lot? Am I going to travel a little? It's too early. So start to make sure that you say, well, if you will share your range with me, because your goal is to get them talking where you get them to answer your questions. You are the candidate. They are the employer. Negotiation is a two-way conversation. It is not one-sided. I cannot just make you an offer and you just say yes. You could, but it's a bad idea. And you should not want to work for people that would want to bully you into just accepting this number. That doesn't make sense, because you've got to work with these people, hopefully the next 3 to 5 years, if you're lucky, right? So that's the other thing. The thing that I can tell you that really is important, and we say this a lot, Foster says it a lot too, is be confident. Be confident. Yeah. I can tell you right now, you can get out of your emotions because ain't no money there. It's really that simple. You can't be emotionally charged in a space where you need your head. We are in a negotiation. We are not friends yet. I like you fine. But until we have an agreement, we're not friends, right? I'm my own MVP and I'm lobbying for me. So I cannot confuse the negotiation and the conversations. Oh, this is friendly fire. It's not. I have things that I want. You have things that you want from me. And I'm going to tell you about how I can get them to you. I'm going to tell you all about my value and the things I can do from you. I read the job description, and it seems you guys are going through an acquisition. When you talk, guys, be informed, be intelligent, be in the space. Like, honestly, if you have a call, I know there are a few people who have interviews today, and Ali is leaving to do hers, and I'm excited for her because I think good things will come out of it. But she's going to a quiet space to be present in the space, right? You got a question, Rosita? Pete's coming. You can ask. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, here's another question. I got a call from a recruiter, and they asked, what is my range? And I countered and said, well, what is the range of the position? We don't have one yet. So what is your range?
Right.
X to Y is what I said.
Right.
And magically, oh, well, that fits within.
Their range.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do we do in those situations? Part A. And part B, can we change it if we move forward in the interview?
100%. 100%, right? Guys, I got the benefit to, Allergan sent me to Ireland for 3 years. So 100% is the answer for Irish people. If you Irish, you get it, right? You do. Two things. You did it right, I think. What is your range? We don't have one. Okay, well, what's yours? Okay, you gave them a range. You didn't give them a number. Foster and I talk about all the time, don't give them your number. See, I have a bottom line number. I do. I'm not going to tell you. And I like all of y'all, but I ain't going to tell you, right? But I'm going to tell you a range because it's going to make sense, because it may change depending on what the other things are and the way the deal is structured. Magically, you were in their range, but we're not at the end. It's a negotiation. It's a continued process. Guys, you're going to be talking to most people these days 6 weeks. I'm going to just tell you what you don't want to hear, right? You got 6 weeks. You got a cursory conversation with a recruiter, right? And then they're going to say, oh, we're going to shortlist you. Then they call you back and they tell you, oh, congratulations, you made the shortlist. Great. Okay, we are on the shortlist. Then we're going to talk to the hiring manager, right? Hiring manager, that went well. You sold them on your value and the things you could accomplish. And then he needed all his friends in the company to talk to you, right? We got to align all their schedules up to get you, because we couldn't just have a panel interview like Allergan did me where you meet 5 at one time, right? We're going to do it one off, one by one. And then they're going to go back to their VP, because, yes, we do require that. Bring me a list of all the candidates. Tell me about them, who you like, why you like them, how they're useful from a talent development perspective. Ali's going to tell me what they can be later in life, right, in the next 3 to 5 years. And then we're going to say, okay, we'll meet you. Then you're going to come and get to sit and talk to a person like me. By now, we've spent 5 lovely weeks together. We talking 3-4 times a week, right? No, not that time. This time. Yep. Nope. Okay, fine. Can you change it? 15 minutes. Whatever we're doing. At the end of the day, I'm still not your friend. You are gathering information just like I am. once I make you the offer, you start to ask questions. Now, I prepared a booklet for you guys with the help of North Carolina Career Center. You're going to get into it, and I'm not going to go through a ton of that today. We're going to figure out a time. Foster and I is going to figure out a way to record and either present and give you some context on the booklet. But in the booklet, you'll see things and examples for you to say, hey, when we started talking 6 weeks ago, we talked about X and Y, right? We are now 6 weeks removed from our original conversation, and other factors have surfaced, like the ability for this position to now support international sites, right? Or international travel. Or you said there were only 3 direct reports, and in the last 6 weeks, it's magically become 10. And while I like managing 10 people, it's not like managing 3. It's different, right? And so from a financial perspective, how does that affect the offer that we were talking about? Because, and guys, I love pop culture and Jesus Christ. So yesterday's price is not today's price, right? And you know that because you pass by the gas station every day. It's really that simple. Because today I have more information than I did yesterday. And that's not what you told me originally. So then we have to talk about how we compensate for that in not a way that's aggressive, right? We're not going to be aggressive. We're going to ask intelligent questions because we're going to do our research and we're going to know exactly what we're talking about.
How big should your range be when you come up with that? Is it 5,000, 10,000? How wide should your range be?
Well, it's your range. It's not mine. If I tell you this, mine is about a $60,000 span, but it's appropriate for my level, right? Because again, I would say, well, maybe I am going to overshare with you so people will know what a Nigeal costs, right? I might actually do a job or some job fractionally for $190,000, $200,000. But depending on the industry, depending on the scope, depending on the regions involved, because employment law, for me, employment law varies, right? We can do employment law in the UK, but Ireland is not the UK. They are 2 different entities. France is not Ireland. They're different. It's like managing HR in California and then in Texas. It's not the same, right? So it requires Nigeal to have 4 or 5 hats on instead of 1 hat, right? So you might see the upper part of my range be 250, 270, and then I might tell you things like I need a bonus because I'm really that good, and I believe that, right? I do. And I believe if I impact your bottom line, right, and keep things like terminations down and not costly, and we don't go into regulatory situations with the EEOC and the government, I believe that I should be compensated for that. That's just me. Right. And then the other thing is I like to ask questions like, what are my long-term incentives? Are there any short-term incentives? And then when you look into this book, open this for me, honey. Let me see. Jane's going to open this for me and help me out. I just made a new friend. Just keep flipping. I'm going to go to like page 3, 4. Hold on. Right here. So I started the negotiation worksheet with Pete, in a conversation with Pete, and we just did numbers. In a latter conversation, Pete said Nigeal is bigger than the numbers, and he was right, and I agreed with him. So we altered it last night to say what's really important to you. This worksheet, guys, to me, it's my personal opinion, you should do one of these for every position that you have an offer from, because no 2 positions are the same, right? You got to tell me what's important to you. Is it the location? Is it the corporate structure? Is it PTO? Pete and I talked about somebody last night who took 5 weeks of PTO instead of their salary number, right? Unlimited PTO meant more to them than the salary. So it's really personal to you. What is important to you? Because you're going to be negotiating with said employer from the space of what's important to me for this job. This is your thing. It's not Nigeal's things. Nigeal doesn't care about PTO as much as other people. She's going to work 11 months of the year. January to November and December, she doesn't do anything. It's just the way she is, right? Most people figure that out. The second week of December, I'm done until Martin Luther King Day, and it's just the way I've been working. It works for me. People like me enough that they let me have my way. I don't know what your thing is, right? I don't mind the travel. I'm executive platinum on all your favorite airlines or whatever it is that they call you when they sit you in the front and give you peanuts before you take off, right? It doesn't matter to me where I do the work, right? I'll go anywhere for however many weeks, back to back, but Nigeal doesn't have children, right? So her life is a little bit different and she can do that. So those things are less important to me. They mean something to other people. So again, this is your negotiation. Yes, ma'am.
Share an example of being brave and ask for negotiation. And the PTO time just reminded me that it's very important for me because I'm from a foreign country, so I need 3 weeks all at once. And I was afraid to ask for that kind of negotiation. And Norman Fulmer, who is part of this network, he's an HR director, he says, go ahead. And I just asked the intelligent question, is it a negotiable item, PTO? And then the recruiter says, let me go back and ask. And so they offered more salary in lieu of the PTO when I will not be here, and just do the administrative thing that it looks like I'm working, but I'm not working on those days. So ask for it. Maybe it's possible.
I think that's great advice. If you don't ask, you don't know, guys. That's the most important thing. The other thing is be nice, right? 2 seconds.
So I've got a question for you. You talked about giving your range first. As being a hiring manager for so long, I've had people give me a range that anchors them below my minimum a number of times. So if you give that range first, do you not run a risk of anchoring yourself somewhere that's on the lowest end, which means you're leaving potentially 20, 25% on the table?
You can. I'm just hoping that you've done your research and saw where they posted and figured out what other people who work in a job similar to yours are making, and you haven't put yourself that low. Ron, I'm gonna tell you something about me. I'm not gonna pay you the lowest. To be honest, trying to fix a salary on the back end as an HR professional is hard, and it takes too many steps. So even if you tell me a number that's below mine, I'm gonna tell you the range, very honestly. And you know, it's not about anything except, but to be honest with you, I serve God, right? I don't want to explain this in heaven later, so I'm good, because I want the elevator to go up and not down, right? So trying to explain why I robbed you of 25% just don't make sense to me. I would rather be honest with you and just say in the thing, hey, I understand that that's your range. This position is paying this. Are you okay? The last HR business partner that that worked with me at Arenia Christie, I told her the range up front, right? The max I can pay you is 150. Does that work? And she said, yeah. And I said, well, what is it that you want? And she said, the 150. I said, all right, let's do it, right? So I'm not in the space where I want to rob you. I'm not the HR executive that's going to rob you. I don't work with recruiters and people. Foster and I have been working together for years. We don't rob people. He sent me to Allergan to work as a temporary down through Adecco, and I ended up with the job offer of a lifetime. I went in Arenia, and they actually, I think, lowballed my salary, thinking, okay, she's not that great, whatever. A month later, they walked in and gave me another $30,000. I don't think it pays, honestly. And like you said, like you know, as an HR person, it's hell to correct, because you never catch them up to where they really should be, right? So if you share a range that's lower and the person says, well, our range is this or it's higher, then you say, I'd be willing to work for that.
Well, that's easy
If they give you that information. If they don't, well, we're going to do something that's not a part of this. Pete's got a question. Hold on, Pete. I'm going to tell him one thing, finish one thought. If they don't, you can ask them for your comp ratio. Aha. Go, Pete. You can ask them for your comp ratio. So you know how your salary fits in the internal org structure. So comp ratio tells me where everybody is. I like people to be between, honestly, the 90th and the 100th. There are a lot of companies that don't lead the market and they don't like Nigeal saying that number, and they probably won't hire her to be their HR leader, and that's okay too, right? But it's healthier there because you can grow. If you're a new college grad and I put you between the 0.9 and the 0.93, Ron knows what I'm talking about, Foster knows what I'm talking about, then I can grow you to the 0.97, 0.98, and then it's time for you to be promoted, because by then you should have accumulated enough skills to move to the next level of said position. Alia knows what I'm talking about, right? I'm not starting you at the 0.75. I'm just not. Because if you grow quicker than I want you to, I have to do all of these huge adjustments to get you to the place where you're in a salary band with your peers or people with similar skill sets. So now I'm doing you a disservice. And again, it's reportable. If you ask me, I'd have to tell you. I don't want to have to tell you that. One of the first things I did at Allergan is that we found out women were making less than me, and then we had to fix all of them. It's great to tell you that I'm fixing your salary. It's sad for me to tell you why I have to do it. Right. It's good. It sounds good, but the money that you've missed, there's nothing I can do to recoup that. Go ahead, Pete.
No, I was just going to make a comment. As a hiring manager, I'm not going to bring you in under the normal salary out there, because I know what's going to happen in 2 or 3 months. You're going to get that better job, and I'm going to spend 3 months training you, and you're going to walk out that door, and I got to start the whole darn process all over again. So I'm going to do my best to bring you at market to make sure that you are happy and you stay. Undercutting you doesn't do any good. It may do it for a quarter or two, but it's not going to last, I can tell you that.
It doesn't last if you're good. Go ahead.
Context is, I don't work in HR, but I have had candidates give HR a number, and then HR says, you can't then hire them at mid-band, because I know they've already given their position and it's going to be on the low end. So I've worked for companies large enough where HR said, they've given their position, you don't have authorization to do it, no matter how good they are.
Wrong company. Wrong people. Right? I don't represent those HR people. But I think it could happen. There are a lot of places where people feel like once you give your number, it kind of adjusts the market, and that's not true, because the cost of living doesn't adjust because you haven't yet realized what your gift is worth, if that makes sense, right? Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Pete. So Nigeal, can we talk a little bit about pay transparency? Because I know when I was job seeking early on in my career, people would say, how much do you make, right? That question's off the table now. In some states, it's a legal requirement. So I think that works in favor of job seekers. So is it a requirement for recruiters to ask or say, this is our range, as opposed to asking you? Could you just share a little bit of that with, pay transparency in play?
I'm going to tell you something. It's going to depend on the recruiter. And if I be honest in how it's worked for them, honestly, it doesn't matter what you used to make. That really only comes into context if you decide to put it on your background check. But I don't verify what you made. People ask me all the time, Nigeal, what is your salary requirement? Well, it depends. And Ali, I'm just going to be honest, right? We should be honest about the pay transparency. And again, if you ask the question, what is my comp ratio, you'll find out how big pay transparency is, because if they give you the number, then you can do your own calculation and figure out what their range is, right? This salary would be equivalent to this comp ratio. People are not going to feel like, a lot of people don't feel like they should pay you market. And that's sad, honestly, but it's true. I feel like I should pay you what the job is worth. Even if you saw yourself slightly below it, it doesn't matter. Because to replace you, I would have to pay what the job is worth at the market value. And to Pete's point, I do not want to hire you for 3 months, train you, get you comfortable in the systems, get everybody comfortable knowing your name, and they finally figured out your email, and then you're leaving and you're telling me it's because of $10,000 more from somewhere else when I had it in my pocket and I could have given it to you. And on the back end, it doesn't sound good, me saying, well, I'll match the salary. Because if you could match the salary a month later, 2 months later, 3 months later, a year later, why you didn't do it in the beginning? It's bad business, if that makes sense, right? But the problem is that leaderships in companies, everybody's moral compass is not the same. And regardless of, again, I hate to say this as an HR person, regardless of what the law says, people find a way to do what makes sense for them, because there are recruiters who want to be known for bringing in candidates at a lower level, than at the lowest side of the salary range, right? There are people who don't want to exhaust what the budget is for the position, but do understand that every position has a budget. And you are within your right to ask them a question like they asked you one. Hey, what did you make? Okay, what is the budget for this position? It's a very intelligent question. It sounds super smart to them because they think that, oh my God, you're familiar, you know things about our internal, right? But ask the questions that you need to ask. Don't be so excited about the job itself that you miss the opportunity to get the information that you need to make an informed decision, because I'm coaching you on how to make informed decisions, right? And again, I will remind you that it is really true what pop culture says. Yesterday's price is not today's price. There are things that you're going to find out on the way that might alter, along the way in your interviews, might alter what you would do this job for. Right? I honestly work with some people and be like, oh my God, they're going to be a nightmare. This is going to be a headache. This is going to be very interesting. It's going to be labor intensive. And they're going to think that they should call me at 6:05, right? And I finish doing everything I'm going to do so I can talk to God at 4:55. This is what's true for me, right? Because I have to have a cutoff. So you've got to evaluate the factors that make it work or not work for you.
Hey, Nigeal.
Hey.
I had an interview with American about a week ago. It's the first interview, and their first question is, what do you want to make in this job? And I said, "What? Can you tell me what the salary range is?" And they came back with 70 to 80K. And I just kind of said, "Okay." I didn't say yes or no. I just said, "Okay, that's fine." And then we went on with the interview. But 70 to 80K is like 50K lower than where I want to be. And I'm going through the process. I'm having a face-to-face with them next week, and going to try to knock it out of the park on the interview process. But I'm not sure we're getting into salary. But if I want that extra 50K, how do I go about that?
You might not get it, if I'm being honest with you. And the reason I'll say this is because airline industry is kind of funny, and they don't pay great. Now, I'm not against American, because they my favorite airline to fly, and Foster knows I worked there with him and Gina Bivens and all this other stuff back in the day, and my sister worked there, and they're going to place a value on things like your flight benefits for you and your whole family and all of this other stuff, and the way they have their medical set up. And the reason for that is because each section of an airline has a union. So the flight attendants have a union, the pilots have a union, the mechanics on the ground have a union, the people that do the luggage, they have a union, and they're not the whole same union. So they've got, back then, 7 collective bargaining agreements, right, that they're managing benefits. And your benefits, even though you're not a collective bargaining employee, are just the same or better than the ones of the collective bargaining employees, right? It's equal to or better than, and they are expensive. So when they look at what they give you in terms of your bonus structure, in terms of your benefits, and then the flight benefits that come, their salaries are normally lower. So if you're looking to get another $50,000 and get closer to market for the role that you're targeting, they would not be your industry if you've got to have it.
So maybe I take that job as a bridge job and keep looking.
Absolutely. That's the other option, right? Amazing place to work. Great folks to work with, but they don't lead the market in pay. And you'll find the same thing to be true with Southwest Airlines and any of the other ones. And it's because there are so many different collective bargaining agreements that the cost of doing business for them is high.
The difference between Southwest and American is Southwest is transparent. They say the job pays X to Y.
They do.
And so I apply for the jobs that pay what I need in my range. Where American, I just, through networking, found a guy, said, hey, we have this job, and I'm thinking it's in my X to Y, but it was like 50K lower, and it is what it is. But
The good news is you're not in a space yet where you're having a conversation about it, right? Nothing is final yet. Your goal right now is to get them on your hook. You feeding them the bait, right? Because here's the thing, you might get an extra 20 or 30 out of them, right? And I don't know, God has done amazing things for me. He might get you the extra 50 because you might get to the end and say, look, guys, I really want to take this job. And I always started off like that, guys. I really want to work with you and your team, right? I do. But when I looked at the numbers, we were a little short. And somebody wise will say, well, can you tell us what we need to do? And I like those recruiters, the ones that ask you what they need to do to make it work, because now you have an opportunity to share what it would take for you or what you would like to see changed. Well, if we could, because now you're working together, right? Now, again, this is still not your friend, but you're working together. So if we could adjust the salary, or we could add a sign-on bonus. And guys, all the HR executives cringe that watch this on YouTube, but I like bonuses that are grossed up for taxes because I just don't like to pay the IRS like that. I like them fine, but I believe somebody else should pay them a portion of my bonus, right? So you ask that question, can we gross it up for taxes, right? Can we do this? And it might come out to be your number, but not the way you originally saw it. But you ask those questions, and when you go through the booklet, it encompasses all of those things. Sign-on bonus, short and long-term incentives. Can I have some stock right now? You know I just got here, and I'm telling you, I'm gonna be amazing. I really am. And you've already showed them that in all the interviews that you've had. You've made all that make sense for them. Can we do it now, today? Can we do it in 3 months? Right? Or I don't want you to feel like you got cheated, right? So I'll take a smaller sign-on bonus today, but in 3 months, based on my performance and some goals that we mutually agree, would you agree to a bonus of? There are all types of conversations that you can have, but it's up to you to have the courage. It's up to you to be confident enough to walk in rooms and have the conversations that you need to have. I am not the speaker who is going to encourage you to work for less than you're worth. I'm not her, because I would not. Most people that know me know that I won't. And it doesn't matter how I'm working, fractionally, contractually, full-time, whatever it is, I am not going to starve for you. Again, I'll tell you like I tell everybody else, I like you fine, but I ain't gonna do that. That's not it, right? And the part of me that won't do that is the same one that read about the way Jesus rained manna down from heaven. So if he can just send people whatever they had a taste for, all you got to do is go out and take your basket out there, then I absolutely know that he can supply everything that I need in a job offer. And I don't have to beg him to do it. And I don't have to beg companies to do it. I just have to find the opportunities where a person thinks that my gift is so great that they'll want to do it for me. And I'll ask really intelligently. I'll show up confidently. I'll know my worth. I'll be informed about the corporate structure because I got friends in this room that are in the same place that I am, and we're encouraging each other and we're saying, hey, who do you know? And don't be so ashamed that you don't send those emails out. Hey, who do you know? I get them all the time in LinkedIn. Who do we know at? Could you refer me for? Right? Foster gets them all the time. Pete gets them all the time. Now, I'm going to be honest. You got to show up put together, because I won't refer you for something that you don't look like you're a good fit for, that I don't think you could sell yourself on, or I think's going to paint me in a bad light. Don't ask me to do that. The answer is always no, right? It's always no. You've got to be prepared and put together, but it's okay for you to reach out to me to say, hey, Nigeal, we connected at Frisco Connect. I'm targeting a position at, do you know anybody over there that you might recommend I speak with? I'll say something like, send me your resume. If I ask you to make some changes, make them. Send it back to me, and then I'll do the introduction for you. And that goes the same for any leader in this room, because nobody's going to refer you and then you leave a bad stain on them, or you show up and you're not prepared, right? So that's super important. So we've kind of gone through steps 1 through 4. John, I'm going to ask you to show the last slide for us. Right, and do the same thing. Tap that little button and make sure all the little things pop up. All right. So we're going to get to step 5, where we've been talking about this kind of throughout this whole thing, communication. Again, I'm going to remind you, they're not your friend, but this is the person that you've been talking to 2-3 times a week for the last 6 weeks. You are friendly. So you will walk in a room, read the room, and gauge how transparent you can be. Do not forget that you are in a negotiation, right? So you need to know, reading the room, how transparent you could be. This is not your friend. They have a goal to get you hired or to get the best candidate hired at the best rate that they can. You have a goal to get the things that are important on your list. So we're not going to treat them like I treat Foster or like I treat Pete. We won't do that, but we'll be transparent to a point. They'll be transparent to a point, and you guys in the middle will find the meeting of the minds. In the workbook that you have on your desk, you will see, Jane's gonna flip the next page for me and show you the financial part. And while all offers are not financial, we have to do this part because we have to know what we're getting, because nobody goes to work for free. We just don't. I want you to write down what the salary is. I want you to write down what the bonus structure is. I want you to ask them for a benefits guide, because I want you talking to the recruiter and telling them what's important to you, because we don't just go to work for the money. We're there for the benefits, right? If you've got HSA and really bad benefits, and again, I came from some Teamsters, I've worked in union backgrounds, I just like PPOs, that's just me, right? And they're super, or you got PPOs and they're super expensive, they're $700 a month for my family. It doesn't matter what you pay me, the price just might be too high and we might be a mismatch, even if you've got other great things about the opportunity. So make sure for every job offer that you receive that you do this scratch worksheet in some form or fashion, whether you use this one that I gave you or you just do your raw numbers, you've got them on your little list and you do them, but you need to make sure that financially it makes sense unless you're doing something like a bridge job. Yes, ma'am. Pete, you got her?
He knows me. Do you have a worksheet like this for folks that are in sales and have OTE and, splits and all that kind of stuff and rules of thumb for thinking through that?
I can get you one.
That'd be great.
That help you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes,
I'll get you. I'll pull you one together.
Okay.
I did not include that, and that's crazy because I worked in sales at Arenia with Pharma. So you're right. I will do that for you.
Yeah, because it's so many different factors and.
There are, and the commissions and everything, the bonuses works different. Yep.
Nigel,
Okay.
if I can jump in real quick too.
Do
I know
it.
some people that come in late don't have a copy of the worksheet we're talking about. I'll make sure I send the soft copy out to you guys since you're all registered and I have your names and email addresses. So I apologize for that.
Okay. Guys, we thought we needed 60. We got a few up here? Okay. Okay. Let me come get it from you. Thank you, ma'am. Here you go. We thought 60 was enough, guys. I told Foster 100 and he doesn't listen to me. And if you know Foster, he doesn't listen to you either, right? Because somebody told him that he's the job father, right? So anyway, next time I'm gonna bring 100, right? But this worksheet, and just to give you a really quick overview so you guys get it, is designed to help you think through some of the things that you potentially could say. Ask AI. I'm a fan of AI because it just makes my step easier or whatever. Did a lot of this worksheet, like I say, North Carolina University Career Center. We stole with pride from them and put it together because we just thought it made sense. And I thought you needed to see it because it's one thing for me to say it. It's another thing for you to see it. And it's a different thing for you to start to fill it out and say, oh, wow, I didn't realize that cost that much. And it's that percentage of my salary. So just make sure that when you're out and you're having conversations, that you're just doing that. One, just having a conversations. Until you have an offer, you do not have a conversation on salary. You're always asking them for their range, right? And you want to share how you can be helpful. Yeah, I saw in the news that you're going through a merger, you're going through an acquisition. I have experience in that and background in that. On the system side and on the people side, you're sharing your things. I'd love to be a part of that project. Let's talk about how I can help. Because you're selling your service. You're selling yourself. This is how I think I can help you. It'll get you to the next stage of the interviews. You'll be talking to the hiring manager because you're speaking from the space, not salary driven first, not bonuses first. And all of that stuff is important. I'm not saying that. But start off with your value proposition and do it confidently, do it eloquently, and ask really intelligent questions. And just because you ask a question, hey, what's your range? This is the range. You don't have to say anything back. Don't get in that weird, awkward space where you got to feel like, how do I close it? You don't have to. Let them. Let somebody else do the fumbling around. You don't have to close it. You don't have to continue the conversation beyond the money part of it. You do not have to do that. Let them figure out what's next because they're the recruiter and they got a list of questions to ask you anyway. So just wait, right? Just wait. Be patient. Be confident and know your stuff. Show up ready. If I can't tell you anything else, the thing that will get you out of this room quicker is showing up ready. And if you know somebody over there, or you know they know Foster, or you know they know me or Pete, oh yeah, I had the opportunity to run. I ran into Pete Hernandez. Use his name. I use his name. Use his name. Use my name. If you know that you know somebody over there, do that. Leverage everything that you have in your toolkit, right? A really great interview with the Prick Crew, really great connections in this room on LinkedIn, all of the stuff that you know about the organization and how you know you can bring value. Take all of that in the room with you and it'll make your salary negotiation conversations so much easier. Questions? Come on, Allie.
I love your tips and guidance.
Mm-hmm.
This is fantastic information. So somewhat different, but with the rate of change and layoffs and all of us here, what are your thoughts about negotiating an exit package at the time they're offering you the job? Is it a no-no? Is it a yes? Bad? Okay. Tell me about it. Yeah.
That's a terrible idea, Alia. Good God. Guys, I love Alia because she's in talent and HR like me. But that's a terrible idea. You want to leave already? You want to leave already? We're not planning our exit from the beginning. Guys, everybody in this room is going to land. No. No, Alia. No. You're asking the universe. Okay, so guys, listen. All right. You're asking the universe to send you something you don't want. I'm not taking a job to plan out how I'm going to exit about it. I don't even want you to think about being back in this room again. You're in this room because you're getting ready to lead it. We are not thinking about what we're going to do next. If you get to a place where you take a job and in 6 months something weird happens and you find yourself in the space where they're saying something like, we've got to make a layoff, you were the newest one here, so we're going to ask for LHH package. But do not do it in the beginning as if you're planning, because it would make me pause, honestly, as an HR person. I would be like, Jesus, you want to go already? You know, what did we do? Okay? So don't do that. But if you get to a space where they're saying something, ask them, hey, can I have some career transition assistance? Write that down because you'll need to know it in the event that it does happen. But I certainly don't wish that for you. But it's very intelligent to ask for it. And if Lee Hecht Harrison can do it for you, I think they are the best in the business. They got the best coaches. The packages are comprehensive. They're about 6, maybe 9 months, depending on what level you are at. And you will get access to stuff that is so far beyond LinkedIn that will help make your transition a lot easier. But ask for that only at that time, Alia.
Yeah, nice.
Okay, yeah, go.
Is it appropriate time right now that we can stop, go to break, and
We
then
can.
come back?
That's why I said questions. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Bonnie.
Hold on, I got you.
Oh, okay.
You stay there.
Okay.
Excuse me, sir.
Thank you. I have a very niche role and frankly, hard to find. And I've kind of been discussing a contract role that fell through back in the summer, but now it seems to be resurging. And here I've been dry. Been advised to take this contract, even though I am a hardcore employee person. I don't like contract feel. But if I take this contract, even though I know that contractors can be let go first, do I have an obligation to serve out the contract, or in the back, do I continue looking for my dream job? I'm hoping God will swoop in and say, you don't even have to worry about that. Here you go, Bonnie. But I have to plan for wherever he takes me. How committed do I have to be to a contract that I don't really want?
Well, Bonnie, I'm gonna answer this question in the only way that Nigel Fisher would answer this question. What does your bank account say? That's the question. That's really what it is. I can't tell you. I can tell you this. I'm working fractionally right now, so maybe not answer your question for you, but I answer it for me. I work fractionally. I have had, this is gonna be the second contract for me fractionally. It's not my forever job. I'm still looking for where I'm going to land, right? Last year, 2023 was rough for everybody. And I'm just gonna tell you the truth because there's no need for me to lie to you, right? My dad passed. I couldn't work a full-time job because he had Parkinson's and it just required other things from my family. So me saying, oh, I'm going back on the road and I'm traveling 14 weeks back to back, or I'm doing this, I wasn't available to do that work. So I took this work because this was the work that I was available to do. And I do that work with the same excellence that I would do any work, but I also know that once he transitioned, I would be free to find an opportunity that I couldn't find in that moment. And then I can leave the contract space. So now Dad transitioned to Saturday after Thanksgiving. That's all done with, right? So now I'm free to start to source opportunities that would be a permanent home. No, you're a contractor, right? If you find something great, we're gonna clap for you. The whole point is that you're filling in and you're working contract. Guys, this thing is not one-sided. I think a lot of times we see this as just the employer and what they want or whatever. You've got to get some things that you want as well. Depends on how your contract is set up. Now, so I'll just tell you this, I write my own, and I send it to you, and I do things like tell you, we got to arbitrate it in Texas because it's where I live. But if you're not and you're working through a service, you're probably not bound. I take a retainer in mine as an executive because I'm going to complete the contract, and I wouldn't accept a job and leave whomever hanging because I want to have, if the time came, a repeat customer. And I want to, Foster's favorite word, relationships, I'm building them. I'm not tearing them down, and I'm not doing anything to mess up my professional image, right? So I'll see it through. The one that I'm in until April. Whatever I'm doing, even if I found a full-time job tomorrow, I wouldn't start it before April. You ready to break?
Yep, ready to go, group break. You guys look like you could take a break during this time. It'll be about 30 minutes or so. I want you guys to talk to Matt Harrington. I want you guys to talk to the folks over at Thomas Edwards Group. Where's Connor? There's Connor over there. I want you to talk to Connor about Kidzania. This is the time, guys. Get your, biological break done, but then get a conversation, get a relationship going with the recruiters that are here that support this network. I like that because as we develop those relationships, I don't have to explain, I don't have time to explain to you right now. But I want you guys to go, and I will get back with you, and we're gonna finish this up, and the second part is gonna be wasn't this a good conversation? Yeah. We all think about this stuff all the time. So keep your conversations going. Get your questions ready for the second half of Nigeal.
Guys, if you have something that you want to ask and you don't want to ask on the second, in this break, I'll be moving around. Just ask. Guys, I want to make this useful for you. And I know we've been doing a bunch of Q&A, right? The presentation's not going to change. Those steps will always remain the same. The newest piece of this is that workbook that we have. That's mine. Do you want one? I know people that'll get you one. Right. Thank you very much. But the workbook, I do want to go through it just for a bit, but I don't want to take up all the time going through the workbook, right? Because it is what it is. And I'm going to steal somebody's, probably Jane's, because I've been picking on her the whole time, right? And she's my new friend. And I'm going to start at the beginning because in everything that we've said, the most important thing to me when we start to talk about this, and Pete and Foster always task me with making this plain, make it easy, make the information not too big for people to understand. Negotiation definitions. I liked 1A, a strategic discussion between two parties to decide a way that both parties find acceptable. Lead with that.
any conversation around a position, a potential position in the break, we had lots of questions come up, and a lot of them were really good, right? I had Lauren and Sophia asked me about, they came from oil and gas where the salaries, they were in a lead the market organization, and the salaries were really high, but they were just salary. They were not salary and bonus and all these other things. And everybody that sees them on paper gets intimidated just by the sheer numbers because they want to know, well, what did you make at your last company? 9 times out of 10, Sophia and Laura, they know that company pays high, especially if you're in oil and gas, because they know the other companies and the players in there. So they know the salary is high. And the folks are getting intimidated because their previous employer paid higher. So the question became, what do I need to do to have honest, open, transparent communication with the potential employer? What I suggested to Lauren is to reach out, the CFO called her directly, reach back out to him and ask him, can we have an honest and open conversation? I recognize that I came from a company that had a lead the market strategy. I'm interested in working with you in this capacity. Let's talk about how we make it happen, right? Here's one or two things. Open and honest communication will either get you a new friend, right? Because somebody will appreciate the character and integrity that you showed to take the time to say, hey, I'd really like this job. I was excited about the opportunity. Here's what appealed to me most. Can we find a way to make it work? Because they're not expecting that. He's just worried if he's hired her that she's going to leave because she came from over here. But he doesn't understand what's important in her value set, right? And it's the reason that I asked the question, and I thank God for Pete bringing that in last night. What is important to you? Is it PTO? Is it just the salary? Is it the benefits? Is it the org culture? Is it work location? Where am I going to do this work, right? The most important thing to me is where I'm going to do this work. My next job, I work from home, right? Most of the time I work on a plane, and when I'm not working from home, I'm going to work on a plane because that's me, right? But I think you need to answer those questions for yourself. And we can't give you the answers to any of those questions. And then you need to engage the employer intelligently, right? And then make an informed decision about how this offer, and I want everybody in this room to be targeting 5 organizations at least that you're chasing after, that you're actively engaging with, because you want to get to the space where you have 2 to 3 of these offers to choose from. And you're doing this worksheet for 2 to 3 offers. And then you're saying, which one of these fits my life and where it is right now, right? Because what's important today may or may not be important 3 months from now or 6 months from now, or it wasn't even something that you thought about last year. 2 years ago, I think, if we go back 2-3 years ago, we wasn't even worried about where we were going to work. Everybody went to work, myself included. And then COVID happened, and it shifted. Now everybody works from home, and we want to stay there. And all the executives are trying to figure out what they're going to do with the real estate that they bought for your famous coffee machines and all this other stuff that we do, right, to make you have a great experience at work. But COVID wasn't like it was in the US and Europe. I was in Europe. You needed a letter to drive to the grocery store. You got 1 hour outside, right, to do something, exercise, go to the grocery store, whatever it was you need to do that day. So everything shifted and everything is different. So you need to understand and be keenly aware of the environment that we work in. Part of my head as an HR executive, even though I'm telling you I'm going to work from home, I do know that the real estate can't sit in the downtown areas unoccupied. We got to do something with it, right? Most companies are going to start to ask you to come back on a hybrid schedule. You need to be prepared for that. Even if today you work in a remote setting, it can't probably last forever. Now, it probably might never go back to the way it was. And this is a Nigeal prediction. Nobody said this. It's not an edict, but it's just my thought. Because we have a huge building that we're paying for that nobody's in. And we've shipped computers and all type of stuff to your house. So think about that intelligently. Do I like this job enough that if something happened and changed where I worked or how I worked, I'd still want to work here? And those are things that money, they don't answer those questions. You have to make sure that you like the opportunity that you're actually engaging in and that you're talking to folks about enough to be able to want to do it, even if something shifted. I liked the company I worked for. I loved Allergan, honestly. I loved the work I did. I love everything about pharmaceuticals. If I'm telling you the truth, I did it even with a letter driving to work, and I didn't leave just because COVID came. Because first thing they said is, "Oh my God, you're so important. You can come home if you want to. We'll figure out something for you to do." And I said, "No, if they're gonna stay, then I'm gonna stay. Doesn't make sense for me just to say, oh, I can leave because I can leave. I should leave." I stayed, right, and worked 18 months in those conditions, 12 weeks to shut down the place and put out the stickers and figure out how everybody's going to go to lunch and not come in contact with each other and what we're going to change and how much hand sanitizer do you have to have and how to ship it and get it here and get dispensers and how to clean the dispenser and all of that. And you do all of that. So guys, you got to start thinking about what the future looks like. I got a question in the break about what's happening with the jobs. We saw that it was getting really quiet and things were happening really, really slow. Now you see them picking up. Well, it's new budget time. All the corporate folks in here, real corporate people, they know. New budgets have opened up. This is the 2024 money, right? We're no longer in 2023. That's what's happening with the jobs. It slowed down because we're cautious. The other thing is that you need to understand that there's a war going on, and even though it's not in the United States, it impacts everything that we do, and it could impact the way that we work and what we do. So people are going to be a bit reserved, right? But now that the new budgets have opened up, then we're seeing a ton more interaction around positions and posts and things like that. So while it's hot, get on it. This is your sign. You do not need to wait. Reach out to whoever you need to reach out to. Actively pursue the things that interest you. Don't hold back. Tell people what your superpower is, and do it unapologetically, not aggressively, not nasty, not a snob, but explain, understand your superpower, and articulate it. And then the next thing you do is start to talk about the range that you will do this work for. You use things, we talked to Lauren and Sophia, use things like knowing what I know right now, based on what I know, from what I can see, this role is in this range. So make sure that you're using very intelligent statements where you're not boxing yourself into this is the only number. Sometimes you're going to get hiring managers who'll come to you and say, oh, this is the number. There cannot be an adjustment and whatever. I listen to all of them the same. Okay. It doesn't require you to respond. You don't have to say anything back. Okay. We just started the conversation 3 minutes ago. We don't have to start off arguing. We don't even know each other yet. Let's wait until we really like each other 6 weeks from now. Then we can start to negotiate. Why am I arguing with you? I don't even know you. I don't even know what you're going to eat for lunch. I don't know what I'm going to eat for lunch. We don't have to start off that way. And people will use those words. Be careful of what you hear and what you respond to, and listen. Communication is 2 ways. Listen and speak. Honestly, listen more than you speak. Answer the questions that you are asked, but listen. And if it doesn't require a response for you, do not feel compelled to say anything. It's rule number 1 in negotiation. The reason I'm able to talk to you about negotiation for salary or really anything in your life is because I lost a lot in the Teamsters Union. They kind of gave me a little orientation into how this go. They weren't the nicest people back then, but it didn't matter. I fixed every Teamster I came into contact with except the one that I couldn't, and I married him, right? Because I couldn't fix him, so I figured he better be on my team, right? It's probably the best way to do that. But what you need to understand is that everything that you've gone through has prepared you for where you are right now. The other thing is it may not feel good. We might not like being in this room. We might feel like, oh my God, there's a stigma with being in this room. There's only one if you let it be. You are going to be whatever you think you are. The only thing that I would be thinking is that I am going to be successful in landing a job, in negotiating my salary. And if I were all of you, it's the first or second Tuesday, I think Pete said, I would have it on my bulletin board and I would read it to myself every day. I can tell you a lot of things. It matters not what I tell you, it matters what you tell yourself. That's the most important thing that you walk away from here knowing. I can give you all the tools, I can give you 16 workbooks, but if you don't believe it and you don't embody it when you talk to future employers, right? And you don't think that you are the prize, because I am. I believe that about myself. If you get Nigeal, you got something. I can run HR from anywhere in the world. I can work with the most difficult. I have proven it time and time again. I have done collective bargaining. I have done transportation. I have done the DFW airport, which is its own city. Foster knows that it doesn't matter where you put me. I do people really well. And you have to be your own plug. The other thing is that you got a room full of resources. Foster, Pete, everybody. I would be trying to be on the job seeker spotlight. That would be the next conversation I would be booking for myself if I were you. How do I get out here and tell people how great I am? It's an opportunity for you to put yourself in front of employers so you don't really have to have super long negotiation sessions over your salary, because by the time you've positioned yourself, you've built relationships, you've shared your gifts, they want you. Foster?
Guys, as bold as the world is to keep raising taxes and all the monies and things and inflation is all, we need to be equal or more so about what we know we have gone through, because we have been there. And when we're in interviews with these companies, let that, what's the word I'm looking for?
It's your time to shine.
Yeah. How am I going to take away from you or put down where you've been, where you know? Nobody can take that away from you. What you learn, somebody might be able to take away from you if you've not done it. But you guys have done it. Everybody's been somewhere. I know Joseph. I've known Joseph for years, and I know he's one of the best financial people out there. Now, Joseph has to go out there and let everybody know, hey, I know how to do this. You guys don't have to hire me, but it's going to be right. It's going to be the right offer for me, because you're getting something.
Yeah.
I will endorse Joseph until the moon comes out of the sky, because I know the guy. That's what I know. Nobody can take that away from me. You guys get where I'm going? So go out there and knock them in between the running lights, is what my dad used to like to say. Because, hey, they're getting somebody, especially Sean. I've worked with Sean for a while. Sean knows his stuff. Hey, get out there and tell those guys, hey, if it's not right, if you guys aren't talking the right stuff, it ain't for me. It's like that situation that we were talking about earlier. Every job is not the right job. So you guys make sure, and I'm going to shut up, I think.
He may not.
Yeah.
But here's the thing.
Make sure it's the right thing.
No, you touched on something. All job offers are not created equal. That's in the booklet you have. They're not. No HR person will tell you that's worth their weight in gold. I'm not going to lie to you and tell you that, right? If you don't believe in your superpower, it's not going to happen. If you're walking around telling yourself, while it can't happen, it's not going to happen. You've already told the universe to send you defeat, right? And I want to be really clear about that, because the main thing before we do any of this is what Pete said. Timing is important, but your mindset is so important in understanding what you bring to the table. You have to understand your gift, right? You do. And you've got to be able to sell it. I am not a snob. I really prefer not to talk about me. You don't have to use big words and all that kind of stuff to describe me. But when I walk in a room and you're getting ready to hire me, I am Nigeal Stokes Fisher. And I don't dumb it down. I don't water it down. I own it, right? I'm a little brown girl from Mississippi or whatever, and I've done HR all over the world. God has been that good, right? And I will tell you that. And I've worked mergers and acquisitions dating back to Roadway and YRC. I've worked mergers and acquisitions for Allergan, Teva, Allergan 2.0, Allergan, AbbVie. I can do a merger and acquisition with my eyes closed, right? All the systems, you go back as far as people saw, Foster talked about us being, oh, I'm one of those, but whatever, don't let them get old but some clothes, right? So you guys have got to be confident in what you're bringing and what you're selling. If you tell these people, I would love to do that job, but the salary is off, are you willing to talk about it? Because the point is that you're telling them, I want to be here. I want to help you. I have what it takes to fix your issue. Here's about how I would start it. Now, I can't give you everything because you haven't paid me yet, right? We're thinking about getting married. We're not there yet, right? But you tell them, and you be very honest about it. And if it doesn't work, you walk away knowing it wasn't for you. You don't beat them up. You don't say how horrible they were. You don't say they missed it. They didn't have the budget. It wasn't my home. I'm going to find my home. It's the only thought. If it doesn't work, you know how many things that doesn't work? You know how many people have told me, I would love to hire you if you would just take $40,000 less. And I just say, yeah, that's terrible. Oh my, I don't even know what to say to that. That's weird. Imagine doing that on Sunday when they pass that collection plate. No, I don't know this number. I don't know what you're talking about, right? And you lovely, and I still like you fine. We just not aligned. Let's go to dinner sometime, right? But I don't want to make myself miserable, and I don't want you guys to walk out of here thinking you got to make yourself miserable. Maybe you have to take a bridge job. I'm working fractionally. There's no harm in that. Maybe you work contractually. There's no harm in that. There's no shame in that. You're doing what it takes to make it, right? But it's not your forever home, and don't let it be your forever home. Go.
I took a bridge job, seasonal, pushing carts at Costco. And I was myself with my brand, and they had this program where they had to upgrade members from the gold, level to the executive, and they gave me a 5-minute training, said, hey, we want you to do this. For the next 2 weeks, I was the #1 guy in upgrades. And they said, wow, you've made a big impression on the management, and they're going to hire you full time. And I was willing to work in the bakery when they needed help at Thanksgiving. I was willing to work in the deli when they needed extra help in Christmas. And my brand is I'm a can-do guy. And the Monday after New Year's, or Tuesday after New Year's, they said, hey, Sean, this is your last day. I'm sorry, we can't give you a job. We only have budget for 3 people, and you're like 4 or 5 on our list. But I exhibited my brand, and it's like, we can do that.
You can absolutely do that. I got to tell you, Sean, the blessing is in you doing it anyway, even though it didn't turn out the way you wanted it to. Again, y'all, maybe I'm preaching, but I know Jesus and we cool. I actually believe God will meet whatever it is that you need. I know that God, right? And I know you can't be shamed about it because whatever you sow, you reap. So if I sold something good, all I can get back is good for it. There's no way for you to do a good thing and get something bad. It's not the ideal outcome, but that's not your space either. Right? Long story short, unless American Airlines can find $50,000, they ain't your space. Just, right? Because I actually believe you that good. Right? And I don't want you to go somewhere where you come back to me and say, Nigeal, in 3 months, hey, I was over there, but now this ain't working, that ain't working, I got to do this. And now we doing prayer meetings in the prayer room with the scriptures, and we trying to tell Jesus to send them some more money. I'm just going to tell Jesus right now to send Sean his opportunity. That makes sense to me. Right? Because I don't believe in a struggle God. Because at the end of the day, like I told y'all, he did the first welfare y'all ever seen. Because if you ever walk outside and it start raining food that you want to eat, just know that we have went all the way back in the Old Testament, right? And that was the first welfare program. Didn't work then, don't work now, but hey, okay, right? Just the truth, right? But you've got to be confident. Keep walking in this room. Keep showing up as the wonderful person that you are. Perfect your statement about who you are and what you bring and the value you bring to the table. Don't let anybody tell you about age, regardless of how I look. I'm older than a lot of y'all in this room or whatever. I don't want to hear about age. I don't want to hear about that. Your brain is agile. You are in a place where you can learn new things. Leverage AI. Get smarter, quicker, faster than the competition. The only thing you got to do is walk in a room and tell somebody why you the answer to all their problems. If you will craft that 3-minute speech, you'll be employed before you go to sleep probably in the next 3 to 6 weeks. You'll have more activity on your phone. Let me tell you about what I can do for you. And you have to lead with that because you've got to get them on your hook. Telling them that you've been out of work for 6, 9, 24 months, whatever it is, everybody is doing that. You don't have time to do that. And we don't want more of that. We want to solve problems, right? We want to be creative in the way we solve them. We want to be a serial collaborator. Those are the things that you are telling the organizations that you are going to work for. Those are the only conversations that we're going to have. Thinking about how old I am, how long I've been doing this. I got a line that I say, I've been doing this more years than I'll say because I don't want to date myself. I don't never tell you how long I've been doing this. It don't matter. If you don't have a resume, okay, well, okay, whatever. But I'm good at what I do. And I don't lead with all of the negative things or the detractors that will take away from me telling you about my gift. And I'm advising you not to do it either because it will not serve you in the room. People will be wondering, oh, how do you feel about this? They might even say things to you in the interview. What do you think about AI or whatever? Sometimes we're just trying to figure out how you feel about that because we know the industry that we're working in, things are changing real quick and real fast. And I'm trying to see gauge your agility. If you start to tell me, oh, well, I liked it when we did it this way and this, that, and the other. Now go in an interview being negative. We like everything about every place that we ever worked. Everything. Because we're in an interview. And again, these are not our friends. I'm not going to keep saying that to y'all. These are not your friends. We love everything about all the previous people we used to work for. Every one of them was great. Right? Unless they ask you the question about, tell me about a difficult time. And in that question, we had a difficult time, but we had to come to Jesus. And at the end, we were singing Kumbaya. That is all you need to say. Right? It is not an opportunity to run down on your old boss and all the things you hated about the organization. Right? No. Everything about you is positive. It's engaging. It's collaborative and it's creative. Elliot told me I was a storyteller, and maybe she's right? But go in the room and tell your story, because the only person that can tell it is you, right? And own the parts of it that were not so good. I had a conversation, I can't remember her name, she's in the back. 2023, my kids would say, my niece and nephew would say it was ghetto. It was just very ghetto. It was hard for everybody, right? And that's just the truth. That's the real way to say it. It was just really ghetto. It was really hard. Go in the room and you can absolutely say that, but don't live there. 2023 has been a challenge for everybody. I had some personal stuff and it kind of slowed down what I thought I was going to do. But what I'm excited about is follow it up with something that's super positive. Have them walking away wanting to have a conversation with you. Everybody you interview it ought to want to take you to coffee or dinner. Barbecue, if you foster Jesus. Barbecue. We didn't wait all the barbecue in Texas and it still ain't enough, but that's neither here nor there. But guys, I'm trying to get you in a space where mentally you're able to operate and perform all of these steps, and it makes it easy for you to transition. And then wherever you see your friends sitting next to you on LinkedIn struggling, help them. Play it forward. Come back to this group and volunteer. Right? I met Foster in one of these groups. I ended up going to Allergan, and we ended up closing out more positions than anybody. I was bringing everybody that I could from Dallas because I had Search for You. And I knew Foster could shortlist me a list of candidates to tell me who I needed and get me what I like quicker than anybody that I ever met. And we met when I was... You from Waco? Yeah, he's from Waco. Right? Or whatever. And it all came because I decided one day I was going to drive all the way down to Waco, and I said, I can't get a job in Dallas. This ain't working, Jesus. I'm going to drive down here, and I'm going to talk to somebody to get me a job. And Foster said, go down there and talk to whatever the guy's name was at the deco. And I did. And he said, oh, I got a job that just showed up that I think you'd be great for. Oh, okay, great. But I was like you. I was willing to do anything. Because here's the thing. I worked at Roadway. And I wanted to be in HR, and I'm an HR business partner. And they said, you can, but go on out there and work on the trailers first. And I said, huh? He said, huh? I don't know. My baby would say, Hamada? I don't understand that. But I did. And I did it for 4 months. And then they hired me in HR. And it led to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And I've gotten to the point where things find me. And Foster talks about being found, and it's really a real thing because what's next for you will find you. Just keep doing good things. Keep putting yourself out there. Brand yourself. Use your LinkedIn. It is your friend. It is not Facebook. Do not put things that belong on Facebook or Instagram on LinkedIn. This is a warning from your HR person. Do not, right? And if you do, I will not like them. Even if we're connected, I will continue to scroll and say, nope, not that one, because it doesn't belong there. Brand yourself and talk about if you've got a green banner and you're open to work and you can write a little blurb on yourself. Hey guys, I'm interested in opportunities that look like, if you don't mind, all of my connections, would you share it on your page? Push yourself up to the top of every recruiter's feed. Put yourself in the top of every search bar. If you see a recruiter for a company that you're interested in working for, it's the new year. Happy New Year. It's me, Sean. I wanted to see if you had any opportunities that I might be able to help you with. Here's what I'm really good at, and I've attached my resume so you don't have to look for it in your ATS. Guys, get creative. It's the new year. It's 2024 money. It's a great time to enter an organization because if you go now, you probably get a full bonus next year. Then you don't have to do a ton of the negotiation that we talk about when you're trying to get hired in June and July. The other thing is that you get to go on with your journey, come back in this room and help other people. And in March, you'll be in here doing some of what I'm doing. So, and that's it. If you don't have any more questions, that's everything. The workbook that you have, Pete and John are going to get it put up on the website for you. I know we didn't have enough and we won't do that next time. Don't forget, search for you. Do not forget to leverage the crew, the PIC crew, because you do need to be sharp in your interview and there's stiff competition in these interviews. Pete is doing a meeting tomorrow that he told you about, 9 o'clock for supply chain. Yep. There are job interviews and that are going on out at Lowe's. I know that one. And then what else? There's another job interview for the colony that you guys got the details for. Make sure that you look and see if there's any value in that for you. Yes, sir. Okay. You got somebody.
Oh yeah, guys, you're reaching for the Williams guy. While I'm on my way to William, I'm going to tell you guys that we have an absolutely wonderful networking group for people that are director level and above. Pete and I are involved in there, and so if you guys fall into that category, reach out to me and Pete, and we'll be able to share that with you, invite you in kind of thing. But it is for senior level executives. Well, actually, 2 of them. So that's the way this network forms itself, and that's what we're going to do, Mr. Christian. All right, go, William.
Okay, so my question that I have, and maybe many others have been wondering the same thing, is it true that the longer you've been out of the workforce, the more negotiating power that you lose?
It's true if you believe it.
As I've just heard that, I've heard different things, and that from a lot of different sources, but that's one thing I've just seemed to hear a lot, and I just don't really know how true that is.
I'm gonna answer that question, but I'm gonna wrap up because John's telling me. 2 seconds, guys. These are the QCR codes. You swipe, take a picture of these, look at these. They're in the presentation, and tell me how bad I did and where I can improve. The other thing that you do is you connect with this group on these and make sure that you get those and do those, because we need that feedback, because we want to make these sessions whatever it is that you need, right? And we need to make sure that we hit those things. So they're going to rest on these monitors behind me. So just please do those. We would really, really, really appreciate it. I'm going to say this again, William, to answer your question. I think there are several factors that you might say, okay, well, do they reduce my negotiating power? In my mind, nothing reduces my negotiating power, and I'm not going to say that in the earth realm where those words could get power and I could start to believe them. That's just me. Last year was difficult for a lot of different reasons. My dad had Parkinson's. I really couldn't accept a full-time job. I had a reason to be out. I think it's about the story that you tell and you talk about what's been going on. So what I did is worked fractionally because I wanted to make sure that I had continuity between work experience and I kept my experience there. But the other thing is that that's what made sense for my life. So it's about how you explain it and what your circumstances are, and no two people's circumstances for why they didn't work a part of last year, 6 months last year, 9 months last year will be the same, and it's about the story that you tell. And I think get your story together, tell it very eloquently, make it flow and work, and get out of there. Because the only thing you're excited about is going to work, and you sell people on the fact that you're excited to be able to solve their issues, and you've kept your experience current and up to date. And what you've done in between to bridge the gap is really not a lot of people's business. And I wouldn't get very intricate or bogged down into that. Any final thoughts or questions, Pete Foster?
Oh, you guys, most of you guys have been to South Lake Focus Group on February the 8th. This lady right here is going to be the featured speaker. And I think y'all ought to come out to South Lake Focus Group. Yeah, it's just me now. And continue listening to Ms. Nigeal. Now, Nigeal and I are putting together an ebook that you guys are going to be seeing. We're going to be advertising about that. We're going to share a whole lot of these truths. We're going to cover a lot of stuff that's not easy that everybody that helps in job search don't want to tell y'all. Well, Nigeal and I don't. We have no problem telling the truth and shame. What does it say? Nigeal? Tell the truth and shame the devil.
Tell the truth and shame the devil. You know.
So, we just want you guys to get there. That's all there is to it.
No, it's actually, I just got a text from somebody in the audience that apparently the QR code for the survey is broken.
John, can you give me a new one? Oh, it's for, John, can you get us the QR code for the survey for today?
I don't think we have one, do we? That we use?
Well, okay. It might be. So then we just need to, I guess for everybody that registered, do we have their email address? Can we send it?
Yeah. Not to mention, we'll put it up on the Frisco Connect website. So if you go to the media section at friscoconnect.org website, give us a few days and both the presentation and the PowerPoint will be up there. Not to mention the video of this young lady that we recorded today will be up there as well. So.
Yeah, and the video for this will also be on YouTube under Stonebriar Events. That's the channel.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. For those of you who didn't hear that, the video is also on YouTube under Stonebriar Church events. You'll find the link there as well. Then we actually use that link on Frisco Connect as well. So one more shameless plug if I could.
Sure. Yeah, go. Yes.
Great. Okay, Thursday or Fridays it'll be available. If you're there on Thursday, if you're having trouble with LinkedIn, a week from Thursday we have Terry Sullivan come out to talk about LinkedIn. He is one of the preeminent sources, a guru. He's going to focus on your brand. However, in doing a lot of orientation at South Lake, I find a lot of people don't have their LinkedIn profile where they want it to be. So this week, I'm going to be doing a class on LinkedIn 101 to help those of you who need to get your LinkedIn game up to par. And then the following week, Terry will take it to the next level. So I encourage you guys to join us on Thursday for that.
Guys, if you don't have a good LinkedIn profile, go to this class. The world is highly digital. And before I ever talk to you in person, I've probably looked you up just because I'm nosy, as have the recruiters, right? Because you're getting those emails that say you appeared in 1,400 searches this week, right? And you go and you see who looked at you, and then you look back and y'all do that little fun thing where, okay, I clicked you, you clicked me, right? But seriously, make sure that you update your LinkedIn profile, because a hiring manager, if you shortlist me a list of candidates, I'm gonna go look at all of them. And you don't want to be saying, oh, my LinkedIn is under construction. No, it's not. And show up at Pete's class, guys, with some type of summary ready to fine tune. Do not walk away from the class thinking I'm going to go home and then I'll work on it. No, do the pre-work, guys. Get your summary together and then go in there and ask real questions about your profile and things you're considering posting on your page.
Thursday, South Lake Focus Group. Thank you. South Lake Focus Group, all the information is at southlakefocusgroup.com. By the way, it's a brand-new website, so give us your feedback, let us know how you like it.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
But you'll have all the details there. We start 8 o'clock sharp. It's at White's Chapel Church in South Lake, 8 o'clock sharp. And then from then on, we break out into either orientation, which you'll see me there as well, and then networking rooms. And then after that, at 10:30, we break from that. And at 10:45, we start the presentations from 10:45 to noon. So encourage you guys to be there, especially if you need help with your LinkedIn profile. But South Lake, outside of this place, it's the place to be. So I would encourage you to be there. We meet every single week.
And I'm in one of those rooms with my friend, Henry Jordan, 2 times a month or whatever. And I think this Thursday is one of the days that I'm there. So if you just have general HR questions, you can bring them there. And guys, if you have something that you asked me, Mr. Emerson pointed out that he sent me a note I didn't respond to. I try to respond to everybody, but I have 2 email boxes on LinkedIn, focused in other. Sometimes you will go in other, just ping me again, because if I don't know you or we just met, it won't put you in my group with people, in my mailbox with people I know. And I'll be honest, people try to sell leaders things all the time, so they need to be over in the other space because I don't want to be sold anything. I'm not buying anything right now. So if you send me a question, I didn't respond, I didn't answer, just send it back again and ping me again, and I'll try to get to it. And I'll accept all of the invitations that I have. My phone's been going off. I've been seeing them. I'm going to accept them. And 9 times out of 10, I'm going to say happy to connect. So if you got a question that you need to stand out, maybe bold it or something, or use that little shout emoji so I know I need to respond to you beyond saying I'm happy to connect. Thank you, guys. You've been great.
All right. She's been great too. Ron, good. You got something to tell us? Man, what you talking about?
So you've heard conversations about the PIT crew. PIT stands for Practice Interview Team. I really wish I could change that first word, practice, because it's a mock interview, but I can guarantee you each one of the panelists spends between 1 and 3 hours preparing for your specific interview. So that's one of the big differentiators. So our mission is to help you cross this transition line faster by doing 2 things. Number 1, you've heard about confidence. We want to build your confidence in interviewing. And number 2, teach you how to differentiate yourself. And one of the things I do want to leave you with is kind of a harsh reality that was mentioned before. Everybody that gets an interview for a job can do that job. So don't go in thinking, I want you to go in thinking confident, but don't go in thinking that you're the only one that can go in job because it's going to put you in a headspace that's not the right one. Okay? We meet the first, second, and third Wednesdays in person now. Okay, we're back to that. And the 4th, we do Zoom because during COVID, our brand got out there. So we got people coming from Canada, Florida, New York, all over the place, and we just don't want to leave them stranded. So come do the PIT crew. We love to help you interview. We can do at least up to 2, maybe 3 per Wednesday. And we also do custom interviews for those people that can't come in person, those that may live remotely. We'll do it Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. You just have to let us know kind of what your availability is. And we're a complete volunteer group, so we try to match that up. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ron. Awesome. So, guys, I'm going to say something and real quick. And, John, you got something you're bringing to us? While John's on his way, I'm going to tell y'all something you already know and you don't want to face it all the time. When you don't have a job, you don't have a job. It's like, eh. But y'all know that every job that pops up that's interested in talking to you is not for you. I think Nigeal made that pretty clear today. So check that out. Always, guys, these many. An interview is two-way street, right? Don't we want to find out what in the heck we're plugging ourselves into? There are pertinent questions that we can ask the people that are interviewing us that might not feel like, I don't know if I want to answer. Yes, you do? Okay, I'm shutting up.
Unmute. Absolutely. I still feel this way because I experienced it myself. You go either on the phone or in for an interview and you're on the defensive And that's not a good position to be in. It's a discussion. You're interviewing them for your lifestyle, for your benefit, as well as they're interviewing you for your contribution to the organization. It's a two-way street. Don't go in shy or on the defensive. And that's hard for somebody like me who's an introvert. But anyway, one other resource, we've talked about a lot of resources. There's a gentleman who hasn't been with us for a while. His name is?
Judge Bugby.
Judge Bugby. Okay, Judge, a bug and a bee. He does a thing called the Job Report that he publishes every Monday, before the Frisco Connect meeting. So our Frisco Connect meetings are on the first Tuesday of each month, and he sends these out on the Monday before. All you have to do is send an email to the jobreportfc@gmail.com, and you'll get on his distribution list, and you can email him and take yourself off anytime you want. But what the job report does is he goes in and summarizes from careerdfw.org and all the other boards that are out there, and he summarizes the list of activities going on in the DFW area, like workshops, the one that Pete's going to do, and all the different things that are going on between Frisco Connect meetings. And he'll send it out to you once a month before the Frisco Connect meeting. And it's a real comprehensive list of activities, so you can plan what you want to do in your search for employment. So all you have to do is send an email to that address, and all you have to do in the subject line is put job report. You don't have to put a message, no text, just send it. He'll send you the job report. And it's a real neat way to keep yourself organized and take advantage of all the different activities that are going on for people seeking employment in the DFW area. All right, now I'll shut up.
Oh, we're shutting up. Did I turn mine on? Oh, it's on. That's good. Okay, guys. So, John, tell us what we're about to do now and where we're about to go.
Oh, okay. So we're going to wrap up. You can continue hanging out, have another cup of coffee, do some networking, meet some people. Those of you who are first-time attendees who raised your hand earlier, some of you may have left. If you wish to join us, we're going to go out and to the right towards the atrium. You'll see a sign there for Frisco Connect, and if you make a right, we're going to do a welcome thing for first-timers. We have some refreshments we're going to set up and do a short presentation. And we'll probably commence with that in about 15 minutes.
Oh, good.
Sound good?
Yeah, that sounds good.